Good afternoon. Thank you for welcoming me here. I'm very pleased to be speaking in front of this audience in this conference. Today, I'd like to talk about Islamism in Europe. The question I'd like to address is Europe really aware of the endogenous Islamist danger? By this, I mean the threats posed by legalistic Islamism, which doesn't use physical violence. Rather, it attacks the rules, the laws, and the values of the European societies with the aim of transforming and subverting them from within progressively in a long period of time. This subversive project to Islamize Western societies is being driven in particular by the Muslim Brotherhood and its various branches and affiliates. As you may know, the Muslim Brotherhood was created in 1928 in Cairo by the Egyptian Hassan el-Banna, just 4 years after the fall of the Ottoman Caliphate. Its aims had always been to rebuild a caliphate, but a universal caliphate. Brotherhood has never changed its aim, even if its means differ, whether violent or political. In Europe, the Brotherhood and its affiliates established itself from the 1960s. In each of the countries to which Muslims have emigrated over the last 50 years, it has patiently woven a network of institutions. 3 generations from immigrant families have been influenced. In France, for instance, they control a majority of centers for Islamic education. They also target the extra-school activities, such as sport. It has also invested in businesses, properties, and halal markets and finance. It maintains ties with Gulf states, such as Qatar, but also with Turkey. If you want to identify a Brotherhood mosque, it's easy. It is also a business center. The asset of Brotherhood is that it is able to adapt to its environment. In Muslim-majority countries, it uses violence or political participation. But in liberal, secular democracies, such as European countries, it remains totally secret, employs soft power pressure and filtration, entrism, and other subversive means. Do not be mistaken, Brotherhood has never abandoned its aim of building an Islamic modern society and will never abandon it. Whether or not it will succeed to reach its aim is not important. What is important for us is to understand what it does today and here to reach its aim. The plan of the Brotherhood is to convey all the Islamic tendencies which exist in Europe, jihadists, Sufis, and liberal, to the ultimate aim. This is what I describe in my book, Le Frérisme et ses réseaux, the Brotherism and its networks, as a system of action. For the Brotherhood, education is an absolute priority. In Europe, the aim is to create an elite that will be in position to influence the mass. Some elements of this strategy can be found in a document produced by ISESCO, the Islamic World Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, which is the equivalent of the UNESCO for the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. This document, called Strategy for Cultural Action Outside the Islamic World, is much inspired by the Brotherhood and in particular by Youssef El-Qaradawi, who was and still is, he died in 2022, its undisputed leader in Europe. The strategy of ISISCO calls the Muslim countries to prevent the assimilation of Muslim-born in Europe, because young Muslims born in Europe are attributed a noble mission to be the ambassadors of true Islam in the continent. The program is not to adapt Islam to Europe, but at habituating European cultures to a fundamentalist and literalist Islam. I quote Youssef El-Qaradawi, "The Sharia cannot be amended to conform to changing human values and standards. Rather, it is the absolute norm to which all human values and conduct must conform." The Brotherhood has found a Europe a particularly welcoming and attractive environment. Why is Europe attractive to them? The problem is not that Brotherhood doesn't like Europe. On the contrary, Muslim Brotherhood think that an Islamic Europe would be a model for the world. For them, Europe is a secularized and de-Christianized. The brothers believe that Europe needs a new moral and spiritual rudder, which Islam can provide. European democracies are seen as weak and influenceable, in contrast to authoritarian Muslim states that abuse their power and persecute genuine Muslims. European countries are rich and their education is of high quality. Muslims would benefit from European excellence in science and technology and thus become Muslim elites who will influence not only their environment but also international relations and put pressure on Muslim countries. For the brothers, Europe is not very confident in itself. Its demography declines, it nurtures deconstructionist wokeism and post-colonial theories that weaken it. And it no longer believes in itself. So the brothers believe that if Europe were to become Muslim, it would be saved from its decadence. And so they are acting for its good. How do the Brotherhood operate for this aim? By transforming societies from within so that they first become Sharia compatible, and then they think European societies will surrender themselves to Islam once they have understood and experienced this is the best system. Of course, it is not for tomorrow, but it will happen one day, and it is a matter of time. Muslim Brotherhood has developed a fairly effective system of recruitment around and from a very hermetic and secret core. Muslim brothers are recruited in the secret, unknowingly over a fairly long period. If the target, because you don't choose to become a Muslim brother, you are chosen. If the target is deemed suitable, the Brotherhood reveals itself to the target and recruits him. But those who are not suitable, far more numerous, will never know that they have been socialized and taught by the Muslim Brotherhood. They will be their visible ambassadors, the mouthpiece of their religious interpretation. They may be footballers, singers, company directors, bankers, professors, or any influencers who spread the word of the Brotherhood in all sectors of the society. The Brotherhood is very effective in society, more than in mosques. Women must produce children, but they must raise cultivated children, and therefore they have to be educated. They need to go outside the home, which means that they have to be veiled. Understand that the sexual division of labor and space is the basis of an Islamic society. No veiling, no Islamic society. Why is the program of Muslim Brotherhood is a threat? Why is it dangerous for a democracy? Brotherhood is a secret and subversive ideology in Europe. It uses lies, deception, intimidation, because its project is a theocratic one, absolutely incompatible with democracies. They are building what they call an Islamization of knowledge, which consists of taking up and turning the knowledge and the critical thinking of the West against itself. It has no respect for democracies. Amongst the two weapons of the brotherism is the halal market, which spread the Salafi norms all around the world, and the fight against Islamophobia and against racism, which is nothing less than a vast re-education program targeted to the school, the media, the political party, imposing blasphemy laws and erase all alternative to Islam than Islamism. Muslim Brotherhood is a threat because of its allies. The Council, we are in Brussels, the Council of Europe and the EU Commission allocate considerable funds to the fight against racism and to university research program against Islamophobia, at the expense of research program on Islamisms, which are now quasi taboo. The latter are seen as controversial, whereas programs to combat Islamophobia are seen as more conducive to integration and inclusiveness. The European institutions only want inclusive solutions, but refuse to make critical diagnoses because they damage the consensus and risk being divisive. In conclusion, the threat of Islamism is now firstly an endogenous one. Immigration is only an aggravating factor. The result is that today, brotherism, the ideology of Muslim Brotherhood, is being disseminated through society by means of subsidized and inclusive programs that are trickling out all over Europe, while critical research into brotherist movements is systematically accused of playing into the hands of racism and the far right and banned from the university, as I am. All the researchers I know who work in an objective and critical way on this topic are threatened and sometimes deprived of any resources. So I am calling here, like I do everywhere where I go, for relaunching studies on Islamism in Europe. And so I would like to invite you, wherever you come from, to send this alarm for us as a university, as academics. We absolutely need funding, help to make this to make these studies, because otherwise they will just simply disappear. Thank you very much.